Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Meet the Teacher night this year at Suffern Middle School. I'm Davey Arrington, the band director here. I teach the bands in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, so most of you are familiar with me already, but I wanted to get on a little bit and just explain a little bit about the program this year and what the differences are between the 6th grade band and the 7th grade band. Last year, of course, we had an interesting year. We were so rudely interrupted in the spring, and this year we're going to try to do the best we can, of course. I'll have more about concerts and NISMA and All County and things later. Basically, though, we don't know what's going on with all that yet, of course. Just a couple things about the schedule this year, if we could. The kids see me every other day in school, which means, of course, with the A cohort and the B cohort, they're generally going to see me once a week in person, if they are attending school in person, of course. The band classes alternate with gym classes, or at least that's the way they've always done it before, and I have no reason to think that the guidance department is changing things this year. So on the period that they have band, on the next day, that period, they will have gym. Okay? There is no after-school band this year. That's one difference between the 7th grade and the 8th grade and the 6th grade. 6th grade, of course, we have after-school band. That does not occur in 7th and 8th grade. I know your kids are very disappointed. This year's schedule will be kind of interesting, of course. We are going to be doing kind of half virtual and half live classes here in school. When the classes are virtual, there will be times when I say to the kids, okay guys, we've been working on this for a little while now in class, take 20 minutes right now and practice. And that's what I'm going to call practice time. Just a little word, please, if we could, on the difference between practice and rehearsal. I know non-musicians get these a little confused sometimes. Practice is something you do on your own. It's a way of developing your own musical skills, your own individual abilities. Okay, it's something you do in a little room all by yourself, and of course with guidance from a teacher and that kind of thing too, but it is generally something you do by yourself. Rehearsal is something you do all together with a group of people in order to get your musical skills all together, playing at the same tempo, synchronizing your brain, things like that. So practicing is generally something you have to do before you rehearse, because you have to have your own skills down before you can put them into the whole group. Rehearsing is a higher level skill than practicing, which kind of fits in with the virtual world here. I can work a lot on practicing at the beginning of the year, individual skills, individual kids, helping us build up our skills and abilities and that kind of thing. And then later on, when we are more together in school, we can do the rehearsal bit. You cannot do rehearsal over the net. It doesn't work. There's too much lag time. I know there's lots of wonderful videos out there of bands and orchestras playing together. They are very, very heavily edited to make them appear that way. And in fact, they're not live. They record them in little bits and they put them all together, which is a wonderful, musical experience as well, but it's not live performance. That is not really feasible with the internet the way we have it nowadays. So there will be times when I say to the kids, okay guys, you can turn your cameras off now and you can practice this for 20 minutes, meet back here at 9:30 or whatever time it'll be. And I will give the kids time to practice. Now, that does mean practice time. That isn't free time, okay? I'm telling the kids, this is not Xbox time, this is not pet your puppy time, this is actually practice time. So while you're observing your kids during class, they should be focused on what's going on, even when they're not actually interacting with me face to face on the screen. Okay, I will give them assignments sometimes, and I'll say meet back here at a certain time. I will be kind of checking in randomly to make sure they do that, and if there is goofing off, of course, I'll be focusing on those kids a little bit more if I need to. But that's kind of going to be the way the virtual classrooms work this year. I do have a video I did for the kids on this called basically about my classroom expectations. I will put a link down in the comments so that you can link to that if you'd like to see it as well. Okay? Grading in the middle school band program, in the 7th and 8th grade at least, is consisting of 50% what I call class participation, which is basically following the rules and actively participating in the class, doing what I want you to do, practicing when I ask you to practice, that kind of thing. The other 50% is playing quizzes, and that's when I assign something out of a book or out of a piece of band music or a scale exercise or something like that, and I say to the kids, okay, this is how you play it. We go through it, we practice it, we do all the ins and outs of how to play it. I give them a period of time to practice it, whether it be 1 week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever, and then at some point they submit to me a recording of it. Now, that recording this year can be a video recording, of course. It can be an audio recording for the most part. There are times when I do need to actually see video if there's hand techniques involved or percussion sticking techniques, that kind of thing. Normally an audio recording is fine though. This year we're also going to be able to submit quizzes on Smart Music. We've got the music education platform Smart Music online right now. Your kids will be getting that. Actually, they already have gotten that by the time you see this video. they've already got access to that. It's a wonderful practice tool for playing at home. I always describe it to the kids as it's kind of like having a music teacher living inside your computer, which is a really nice way to go. It'll tell you things you're doing right or things you're doing wrong. Obviously, it's not as good as a live music teacher, but it will help kids kind of self-diagnose and say, well, what would I have got? What did I get wrong here? What did I maybe miss here a little bit? And I'll do that for them too. I do have a very, very liberal retake policy about playing quizzes. I tell the kids, you can always do retakes. If you submit to me a quiz and you don't get a perfect score on it, I will tell you, what you did right. I'll say a lot of those things, and then I'll also say what you did wrong. And I'll say, you need to work on this to get better. You need to work on this to get better. My policy is if you go home and practice the stuff that I asked you to practice, you can do a retake. And in fact, you can do as many retakes as you want to until the end of the 10-week marking period. I'm not so interested in when kids get things perfectly as I am that kids get things perfectly. And some people take longer than others. I know that, of course. So you can always do retakes right up until the 10-week marking period. The better score will always count. If you somehow do a retake and do worse than on the last quiz, I will count the better of the two grades. People have bad days. I understand that. So the retake policy is, like I said, very, very liberal. I don't feel that this is a hardship at all on the kids. And also, now, of course, we can all just do playing quizzes at home. We don't need to do them here in school in front of everybody. I know that makes kids nervous sometimes. It makes me nervous sometimes to play in front of people. I understand that. But they can play them at home, of course, and then just submit them to me, and we go back and forth with the retakes. Okay? So grading 50% class participation and 50% playing quizzes is what it is this year, really. As far as extra thing goes this year, we don't know about concerts, we don't know about All County, we don't know about NISMA, we don't know about the musicals that usually happen at the middle school here. We're hoping all those things happen, of course, but it kind of depends on how the world goes right now. We're trying to get back out of the COVID world, back out of the so rudely interrupted kind of world that we experienced last spring. Down in the comments, I will have links to the following things. I'll have a video about how often my kids should be practicing. I get a lot of questions from parents this time of year, especially on that. How often should I hear my child practicing at home? There's a whole video on my philosophy of that down in the comments. The basics of it, though, are your child should be practicing small amounts of time more often during the week. Doesn't do any good to cram practicing and do an hour and a half one day right before the quiz. To do 20 minutes a day is much better, or even 5 minutes a day is much better than to try to cram it in all at once. You'll see what I mean in the video. There's also a video on grading down there that I'm explaining more about my grading rubric, particularly about the playing tests. I have 5 categories to get 4 points each. So a perfect score in a band quiz is 20. Please don't be alarmed when your child comes home and says, I got a 20 on a band quiz. That's actually a good thing. I grade out of 20. There's also a video down there, as I said earlier, about classroom expectations. That's one that's geared toward the kids, but you're of course welcome to watch as well. Okay. If you have any questions, my email is up here. You can see it, and I am pretty good about getting back, usually within 24 hours. So please shoot me an email with any questions you may have, and thank you very much.